On the 13th, the highest military command department of the Korean People's Army and the General Staff Department of the People's Army issued a pre-combat order, commanding the frontline troops of the People's Army in the front zone along the border between North and South Korea to enter a firing preparation posture. The joint artillery units of the People's Army and the units undertaking important firepower tasks were required to be fully prepared for firing. Once it is confirmed that the South Korean side provokes again, they must immediately strike it if necessary. After the news came out, there was an uproar online, as we all know. Very abstract events took place on the Korean peninsula in early October. On October 3rd, 9, and 10, a light and small drone seemingly equipped by the South Korean Army and made in the United States flew across the 38th parallel and reached Pyongyang, the capital of North Korea. Moreover, it actually flew over the office area of the Central Committee of the Workers' Party of Korea and scattered anti-DPRK leaflets. This incident, whether it is the cross-border flight of drones, the face-to-face output by flying over the office area of the Central Committee of the Workers' Party of Korea in Pyongyang, or the content of the scattered anti-DPRK leaflets, can infuriate the general. Therefore, on October 11th and 12th, the North Korean Ministry of Foreign Affairs first issued an important statement, and then Kim Yo-jong, Vice Minister of the Central Committee of the Workers' Party of Korea, issued a talk again. In Kim Yo-jong's talk on the 12th, the line was extremely clearly drawn. If drones carrying anti-DPRK political black propaganda leaflets taking off from the opposite side of the national border, the Republic of Korea, invade the airspace of the Republic again, strong retaliatory measures will be taken regardless of their composition. If you dare to come over again, then don't blame me for beating you up. However, in her talk, Kim Yo-jong did not clearly point out the responsible party for this incident. Instead, she used either military rogues or scum groups of border-crossing escapees, seemingly indicating that North Korea has not determined whether the responsible party for the drones is the South Korean military or civilian groups. After Kim Yo-jong issued the talk, the Korean People's Army is bound to take action. However, it is worth noting that the combat pre-order issued by the General Staff Department of the People's Army was not made public on October 12th, but was postponed by one day and made public on October 13th. On October 13th, a spokesperson for the North Korean Ministry of Defense disclosed the relevant situation of the combat pre-order of the General Staff Department of the People's Army. According to the spokesperson, on October 12th, after Kim Yo-jong issued the talk, the General Staff Department of the People's Army issued a combat pre-order, requiring that the 8 fully armed artillery brigades in the front zone be transferred to a firing standby state by 20 on the 13th and complete various support tasks in accordance with the wartime establishment. Regarding the establishment of these 8 artillery brigades, I made a guess. It may be that each of the 3 to 4 frontline corps is assigned an artillery brigade. The remaining artillery brigades should be 3 rocket artillery brigades and 2 heavy artillery brigades under the 518th Artillery Division, the headquarters reserve of the Strategic Artillery of the North Korean Army, of course. It is also possible that some troops not involved in combat can be left behind and organized into an operational reserve force to wait for battle. In short, it can be understood that all the artillery of the People's Army on the 38th parallel is fully prepared for battle subsequently. On the evening of October 13th, a spokesperson for the North Korean Ministry of Defense and Kim Yo-jong, Vice Minister of the Central Committee of the Workers' Party of Korea, issued talks again. This time, the tone of the spokesperson of the Ministry of Defense quickly rose by an octave. The effective content of the statement is divided into 3 parts. First, it is clearly stated that the drone that invaded the airspace over the capital of the Republic is not a drone that civilian groups can fly in any place. clearly pointing the responsible person for this incident at the South Korean military. Second, when the drone appears again, we will regard it as a drone flown by the Republic of Korea and at the same time regard it as a declaration of war against the Republic and take action according to our judgment. Drawing the line again. Third, according to our judgment and determination, powerful attack means may be put into use. And as a result, the entire Republic of Korea may become a tragic ruin. In short, betting on the lives of one's own people will lead to tragic destruction. Even the word destruction is used. It can be imagined how serious the Korean People's Army's assessment of this incident of South Korean drones entering the country is and how harsh the line is drawn. And it has been raised from the response to possible civilian groups to the response to the South Korean military. That is, South Korea. Kim Yo-jong's talk was even more bluntly stating that the stupidity of the South Korean colony exceeds the common sense and imagination of the world. It is really a group of strange and mutated followers. They are a group that maintains the country and the people with miscellaneous outbursts of blood and endless chatter. They are simply a group that will burst out with blood and leave even if stained with the yellow springs. And garbage should be thrown into the trash can. Demanding that the South Korean military be honest and not act rashly. From the 11th to the 13th. The statements of the North Korean Ministry of Defense and the high-level leaders of the Workers' Party of Korea suddenly rose by an octave. At the same time, the frontline corps of the Korean People's Army strengthened combat readiness and the artillery units were transferred to a combat readiness state. There must be a reason for this. North Korea's such a strong and reactive response is inseparably related to the stinking mouths of several high-level South Korean government officials on October 13th. On the second day after Kim Yo-jong issued her first talk, Suk, the director of the Security Office of the South Korean colony, came out and stated on a TV program that no matter what the North Korean leader says, we will ignore North Korea's statements. If South Korea confirms this, it will only serve the purpose of North Korea creating chaos in South Korea, that is, playing a game of dragging one's feet and playing dead. I don't admit that this drone was released by me. Naturally, I can't guarantee that similar incidents won't happen again. You figure it out yourself. Obviously, Suk's statement made North Korea extremely angry. And in the afternoon of the 13th, there were still South Korean lawmakers continuing to cause trouble with their stinking mouths, claiming to end the North Korean regime. At the same time, the South Korean Ministry of Defense followed up and added another blow. In the afternoon of that day, the Ministry of Defense sent group text messages to journalists covering the military, once again emphasizing that if North Korea endangers the safety of South Korean people, that day will be the day of the destruction of the North Korean regime. Anyone can see that this statement is adding fuel to the fire. After the South Korean Ministry of Defense spoke, the North Korean side exploded. That's why there were successive statements from the North Korean Ministry of Defense and Kim Yo-jong. The North Korean Ministry of Defense disclosed that the frontline troops of the People's Army had entered a combat readiness state, threatening to turn South Korea into a tragic ruin. Destruction and garbage should be thrown into the trash can. These are all events that took place on the evening after the stinking mouths of the South Korean Ministry of Defense and individual lawmakers. This is the entire chronological sequence of the disputes between North Korea and South Korea in recent days. How to view this situation? So analyzing the ins and outs and chronological sequence of the current tense situation between North Korea and South Korea, it is actually relatively clear. It belongs to the South Korean military, most likely provoking first with drones. North Korea's talks on October 11th and 12th still left some room. Mainly, it required South Korea to restrain this behavior and ensure that drones would not cross the border again. In fact, on that day, the General Staff Department of the People's Army had already issued a pre-combat order, but it was not made public. My interpretation is, on the one hand, North Korea still doesn't want to make things too big. On the other hand, it also considers the possibility of subsequent drones from the South Korean army continuing to enter. Therefore, ordering the frontline corps to be prepared for battle and shoot down drones at any time. In short, this is a response posture of being seemingly relaxed on the outside, but actually vigilant on the inside. What really added fuel to the fire was on October 13th. In the morning, Shin Won-sik's theory of ignoring and not paying attention. In the afternoon, the South Korean Ministry of Defense's theory of ending the North Korean regime. Especially the ending the North Korean regime theory. This is clearly dancing on the red line of North Korea and is completely just for the pleasure of speaking harshly so. South Korea is dancing on the red line. And naturally, North Korea responds with extreme toughness to toughness. These two are not fuel-efficient lamps. You send drones to me. I ask you to restrain your local troops from repeating. You threaten to end my regime. I threaten to destroy your soul. Neither side is willing to admit defeat. They are just being brave and fierce. That's all there is to it, however. In essence, although North Korea has repeatedly issued harsh words, the red line is relatively clear and has never changed. As long as South Korea does not release drones in the direction of North Korea again, then the Korean People's Army will not shell Seoul with thousands of cannons. Therefore, as long as the South Korean military does not act recklessly this time, although North Korea has issued harsh words, I think it is still impossible for the two sides to fight. But how should I put it? The fear is that just in case, judging from the domestic situation in South Korea in recent days, when South Korean military drones crossed the border, South Korean President Yoon Suk-yeol was not in the country twice. Once he met with Marcos Jr. in the Philippines on October 7th, and once he met with Lawrence Wong in Singapore on October 9th. And now, with the intense dispute between North Korea and South Korea, Yoon Suk-yeol seems to be attending the ASEAN Summit and other related summits in Vientiane, the capital of Laos, from October 11th to 13th. North and South Korea had several rounds of verbal battles. Yoon Suk-yeol has been mysteriously absent and has not come out to express his stance. This is a bit strange. After all, for such a serious provocation, doesn't Yoon Suk-yeol know the seriousness of the matter? Knowing that after the drones cross the border, North Korea will inevitably retaliate severely. And there is even the possibility of a military conflict between the two sides. Doesn't Yoon Suk-yeol know to stay in the country and take charge of the overall situation? He doesn't know to express his stance and give direction after the incident, but instead asked Shin Won-sik to come out and express his stance. The South Korean Ministry of Defense sent text messages to journalists saying that they would end the North Korean regime. For such an important statement, is it Yoon Suk-yeol's intention or the intention of the South Korean Ministry of Defense itself? These are very interesting if this cross-border flight of drones is not Yoon Suk-yeol's opinion at all, but the opinion of the U.S. troops stationed in South Korea, or even the Japanese self-defense forces, then it will be a disaster. However, let's continue to observe for now.